Yeah, it's on.
You filming? So.
Shall we start with Joker?
Yeah, start that.
Okay, so we'll go over
So
why.
literally, talk about what a film actor might do to prepare.
Well, to get ready, obviously they get basically stuck in trailers, they just go over their lines quite a bit to make sure they've got them spot on set, just so that they don't risk any mishaps while filming. They'll probably work closely with costume and makeup because obviously they need to look a certain way, which most of them can't do on their own. And costume wise, again, can't really do that themselves. So they'll need to go to costume, get measurements done, make sure the costume fits right. And if it doesn't, the necessary adjustments can be made. Then obviously they'll need to be on set, sort of follow direction as it's given.
Yeah.
Sit and sort of, do the scene as best they can, take on any feedback or listen to what the director says if you want to try it a different way.
Yeah.
Agree with Adam. All point, yeah.
Well, there's
I can talk about my character thing.
talk about do you know some of the differences between like acting on film and acting in theatre? Because that's something that you need to mention about as well.
They also, what they might have to, especially in films like Joker, where they're sort of based on comic books, they might have to do their sort of research. So like Benedict Cumberbatch with Doctor Strange, where he bought a few Doctor Strange comics and sat in his trailer and just read them to sort of see what the character was like, so he could then get it right on screen.
What kind of style of acting is that though?
That would be it's Stanislavski because it's naturalistic, but I can't. Method acting.
Yeah. Anything else that might be kind of different?
Yeah, I would like to ask what method acting is it less?
So method acting.
Getting inside the head of the character. So like
it's like it's Stanislavski technique, isn't it?
You start almost behaving like the character.
Yeah.
So one of the most notorious example was Jared Leto when he's trying to play Joker. He would leave dead rats in people's trailers because that's what Joker did. Joker did messed up stuff like that. It's a bit of an extreme example.
It's an extreme kind of method of acting, of really kind of getting into the frame of mind of the character. I think that's everything Adam said really, but
I got you.
But yes, so do you, any other things that you think would be different between theatre and film acting?
Well, as we mentioned last time, less is more.
Yeah.
Because your face is closed up, you don't need to exaggerate your feeling or trying to project your voice more. Well, it depends on your character. If you're screaming somewhere, of course you need to try scream.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, that's something that we'll learn with Catherine Fee's role anyway, with having the boom mic literally right over you. You won't need to when it comes. You don't need to shout because the microphone, and especially if you've actually worked with a real boom mic, you'll find that it literally picks up every little sound, and you'll actually find that a lot with kind of shooting a scene as well. A lot of the time they'll have to kind of reshoot a whole scene because, well, and in a lot of professional films that won't really happen as much. But from doing kind of work in short films, you kind of find that sometimes there'll be like a little, you can literally just hear a pin drop in the background. But Kieran, did you find out about?
So they're in charge of the camera movement, lighting, different lenses on the camera and filters, and they work closely with the director.
Mm-hmm. Why do they work closely with the director though? Like, what kind of communications might they go through before shooting a scene?
I would probably say their vision, maybe of the shot, like if they're kind of from the same period. I don't know.
Me? Okay. So the director works with the cinematographer, the lighting people, I don't know what you call them, the audio, the sound people, and the costume designers, because they want to. They need to talk to them so that they can go with their vision, and obviously the director needs to make sure that they know what creative control they want in the film, and so by talking about it, they know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
They also work with the actors in a way that the director will, well, it depends on the director, but they will usually try to make it as easy for the actor to work with the character as much as possible. And yeah, that's it.
Yeah, no, that's what I have for you. So, Jamie?
A camera operator, he sets out the images, arranges the scenery and set. He works closely to the director, and they like work together on how to set up things with the techniques. And they plan together on what to do and how they can work it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. As well as the director, who else would the camera operator work with?
Was it Kieran as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, the cinematographer.
So it's the cinematographer.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a kind of continuous kind of
It's like a side.
triangle, really. So yeah,
Yeah.
kind of Kieran will converse with Matt, and then Kieran will then convert with you,
Yeah.
and then
So basically, all three work together.
yeah. Fee.
They like hold the microphone thing and check that the like audio is like clear and stuff. And sometimes they have like assistants or like work with different sound people.
Yeah. Nothing. I mean, I think the way to word it. Kind of. What might they also kind of be in charge of? Kind of post production as well.
Sound effects.
Yeah. Do you kind of.
No, I have a question.
Okay.
So each director, sorry,
Yeah.
each director has a unique style of shooting.
Yeah.
This
Mhm.
is why they have, I don't know, different style of shooting. So if director is not actually doing camera shots, so how these people who is working for director, how do they know? How do they need to shoot? Like from which angles? I know that they tend to paint shots. Each
Yeah,
shot they painted.
with like storyboarding and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
How detailed are they go? I'm just asking because I don't know.
well, as I was saying earlier on, Matt's kind of role is to kind of not too similar to a theatre, but Matt's directing the acting within the scene. He would then kind of feedback what his vision of how he wants the scene to Kieran, who's obviously going to be the cinematographer, who will then kind of translate that information into how it would need to look kind of on camera in the best way possible to kind of complement the acting on screen. And then obviously Jamie as the camera operator.
Like, for example, I've heard this from Jodie Whittaker saying like she'll be asked to sometimes walk up to certain bits of tape on the floor, so she knows where to walk up to the cameras and stuff like that. Yeah.
Okay.
You often find that a lot of cinematographers, like directors, will work with the same film directors, will work with the same cinematographer often.
Okay.
So
So
like,
they will.
yeah, like something like Martin Scorsese, it's not necessarily the same cinematographer, but he's worked with always the same editor. This woman, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but they often work, you know, with a team
Yeah.
who understands their style.
Yeah.
But as Sam's saying, it'd be well planned out what shots are being done each day.
Yeah.
I mean, and the director would want to stick to that. They may vary certain things slightly on the day, but they'd have that planned out in place. They'd have already had those conversations before they get there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously there'll be some who work completely differently, but if you're working to a budget, you keep to it.
I have a last question. So who is actually painting all these shots? Who is like there is a script writer. So I have a script writer. I'm going to direct. I tell director I want this movie.
Which shots are doing that? Well, that would be
There's a lot
somebody
of
else
kind
like
of,
down
there's a lot of like artists that they'll also kind of work with and stuff. So the roles that I've given you is
Yeah,
kind
so-
of yeah.
You'd have like assistants who would
Yeah.
who would actually plan out which shots are going to be done and that sort of thing, and then
And then the
Based
director
on the vision,
decided,
yeah.
And then the director decided what to like, what he doesn't.
oh no, the director would have explained what they're looking for each day, so there'll be a shooting schedule for the day about which, interior, exterior, about where.
Yeah,
It wouldn't necessarily always be shot from exactly a storyboard, but it might be there'd be a schedule
Yeah.
in there.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
But there would definitely be an idea of what it might look like. If they were the storyboards, would probably be the earlier
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
They
it's-
wouldn't work to those day by day. They'd be working to a schedule that's already been decided. That's already been set up, so they know exactly where the camera is going to go, because that's all been pre-planned. So the actual any storyboards have done ages before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got it. I just.
Catherine, back to you.
Mine's pretty much the same as Steve's, but they work with the director and the producer, and they're in charge of making sure their equipment works before they go to the set.
Just trying to think, what I'm trying to think of a way to kind of to make this a good kind of open question, but a lot of the time sound technicians will be in charge of. Hopefully, someone will be able to pick up what I'm trying to question as.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm talking about Foley. Does anyone know what Foley is?
Yeah, I do.
No, that's yeah. So Foley is because a lot of the time with movies, with film and TV, Foley is where they will kind of sometimes record sounds for teachers, like how you've seen movies, how they'll have. And I always find this really cringy, but they'll have like the iconic like text tone, and especially if you notice it a lot of the times recently with like phones and like the sound of the phone unlocking and stuff. A lot of the time they'll have the same Foley of literally just the iPhone unlock sound. Even if it's an Android phone, they'll still use the iPhone unlock clicking sound. And also recently, when watching You on Netflix, in the new series. They actually use an iPhone, but it's an iPhone 7 or 6. But in the show, they'll say that it's Face ID, but they don't have Face ID. But they'll use that same kind of unlock Foley. But a lot of the time with Foley as well, they'll sometimes they'll actually create the sound themselves by going into obviously a studio and kind of making the sounds themselves, whether it's this is kind of going into a bit of animation really as well, where they'll
And post-production, when it
post-production as
all those
well.
sort of overdubs will be when they want things to sound
Yeah.
a bit more like horses galloping, but they don't sound quite. In real life, often they'll just be a bit clumpy.
Yeah.
You want it to be quite
They'll proper create the sound with,
Yeah.
even if it's with objects and
and
stuff.
stabbings and
Stamps, yeah.
shootings and sound of flesh being cut and all sorts
But,
of. They'll
yeah.
add them afterwards to make it
Yeah.
sound, or a punch.
Yeah.
Punch is a big one. So the sounds they make in
Well,
films, that's all added afterwards.
Yeah.
It's like in horror films when they want to build up tension every so often, so that you'll hear like a car's door slamming, over exaggerate it.
Yeah. But yeah, so anyway, so going back to your roles, Foley is obviously something that they'll be looking for as well. Like sometimes you'll find that the sound technicians will kind of pre-record Foley, even when filming a scene, they'll pre-record Foley before the camera's even turned on. They'll record a specific sound to match the camera. Anyway, so that's good. I'm glad that you actually kind of went away and kind of researched what I asked. So yeah, anyway, let's do this. So the best way I think to possibly do this is Matt. Obviously, we're trying to make this as real as possible. So Matt as the director.
Yeah.
And we can either kind of break this down into different stages, like I was kind of saying, in like a tabloid type exercise where we'll kind of do what's happening before and what's happening kind of whilst we're filming and then after. But we can even break it down even further into a tabloid effect by kind of doing a freeze frame of what the scene might look like, and then actually act it out, and then do like the next bit. Tanya, do you want to start a new video or unless you don't mind it recording
Yeah.
for just so you've got it kind of broken down?
Okay.
Excellent.